Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Summer 2020. I'm Atlas, joined by the wonderful Val Danilist here for our third day of this week's matches. We're getting very, very close to the end. 4 teams have already qualified for playoffs, and many of them are playing for that last coveted playoff spot. But it's neither of these teams that are playing here today. No, in our first match, we have one that is definitely not going to playoffs, and the other one that is well and truly in there. DRX have had a bit of a stumble recently up against Dam1, but otherwise have looked good. They've bounced back against Afrika, very, very strong. However, Solly One Prince, we don't really want to talk about it in a positive light because there hasn't been very much positive stuff for them. Yeah, SANDBOX, I mean, they are going to come in here. You can see that is a match between two high-octane teams. High-octane? Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but interesting. SANDBOX has to keep their playoff hope alive versus Angry DRX lost their position in first place to Dam1, and there was a lot of, I wouldn't call it infighting, but a lot of discussion and arguments between CV Max and the players about what went wrong, how can we improve. It's obvious those guys are really trying their best to be the best, and we'll see how they do line up going into playoffs. Yeah, exactly. I mean, today is a day of top teams versus not top teams, right? There is a chance that SANDBOX can make it to playoffs if they go for a dream run, but I believe if DRX beats them here, then SANDBOX run out of opportunities because Afrika have just been winning that few too many games recently and are looking to hold on to that 5th spot. So, top versus bottom, definitely going to be a case, but I think looking at DRX under a microscope is mainly what we're going to be doing here today. Because you're right, I mean, CV Max and Drama are their best friends, but I don't know whether it's necessarily helping or hindering the actual team of DRX. Because we know they're incredibly talented players, but if you keep, you know, stirring the pot like good old CV Max likes to do, then it can be very, very difficult. This is going to be the playoffs race here. SANDBOX Dynamics at the bottom, KT and Afrika looking a little bit closer. However, SANDBOX very close to KT, and we'll see what's going to happen here, as both of them have some pretty tough opposition as we move further forward. SANDBOX getting a win here, though, will mean that they get to actually try and go head-to-head against Afrika. If they're able to win that, then that's a big swing heading towards playoffs. Yeah, I mean, there's still a chance, right, for KT and SANDBOX. Team Dynamics, not really sure why they're even listed here. With 10 losses, I would imagine it's impossible, but maybe 0.001% they can get back in, so they should be listed. And Afrika, the obvious favorite, but they still do have to go through T1 and Gen G, so we'll see how that does go. As we're taking a look here, SANDBOX, they've got one really nice stat. When they do get the gold lead at 15, which has only happened 3 times, they win. So there's that. Well, DRX, they're 8-1 when it comes with gold leads at 15 minutes. This team doesn't necessarily get ahead early, even though they do a lot of stuff early. It's very, very strange. The way DRX wins is not your, your typical super fast, aggressive, snowbally team. It's the kind of team that just does a whole lot of stuff around the map as often as they can, and oftentimes it's mid to late game that they're able to win a team fight and then turn it in their favor. So, an odd team to watch, but let's see what they're going to be able to do here as we get into the opening rosters. No real surprises here, guys. Gorilla, Root, Fate, On Fleek, and Summit will be your SANDBOX roster. And over the side of DRX, they haven't made a change all year. I don't think we're going to be seeing Quad in the mid lane or anything like that, as Chovy's bounce back after his 0-8-0 Camille was actually pretty impressive. Yeah, Chovy could probably do that, 2 or 3 more times, and I think we'd still see him starting over Quad, although Quad, it's very interesting because, he's really good at the game. It's just maybe another Summit situation, right, where he's kind of behind Keen for a while there on Afrika, and then he's able to escape in a way and become a starter on a different team as he is on SANDBOX. And here, everybody's going to be coming in here, the faces you all know and love, as the key player matchup is actually going to be going into the jungle here. Yeah, On Fleek versus Pyosik. Not bad stats here on Pyosik's side, but it's the jungle proximity that I really want to draw your guys' attention to. Pyosik has not been all that proactive when it comes to helping his laners. This is, I think, a lot of the reason why DRX stats in the early game aren't necessarily fantastic, because Pyosik is very prone to, as LS would call, the World of Warcraft syndrome.
Yeah.
Where he likes to go PvE, he likes to level up, and he likes to bring his cool items into battle against his opposition. Whereas on Fleek, he likes getting amongst it as soon as he can. You can see second when it comes to jungle proximity and kill participation at first as well. I mean, both of these players, first and second, and that only proves the point further, right? On Fleek's just doing it earlier in the game.
Yeah, after that early game does end, Pyosik is always getting into the mix. You can see that the kill plus assist at 15 mark there is also very good for both of these guys, second and third, with On Fleek leading. And Pyosik, I think he's got the best celebrations in the league right now because he's the only one that does them, right? So maybe we'll see more of those today. That's always something to get excited about.
And if SANDBOX wins, I'm hoping that On Fleek can try and at least answer. On Fleek has been defaulting to a lot of Lee Sin, so maybe we'll see some punches and kicks from him if the Yamato magic is going to come true. This, though, is one of the biggest tests here for Yamato Cannon. And if SANDBOX are going to make it, they need to win here. I actually think that if SANDBOX wins, then I think it's almost impossible for DragonX to get into playoffs.
I would imagine so.
Because DragonX needs a Freaker to lose everything, because the highest that DragonX can get to is 8 wins, and that's equal with a Freaker.
Yeah.
And so I guess you're assuming that SANDBOX are going to beat a Freaker, which gives them an extra 2 points. It's, you know, playoff math is a difficult thing to do. At the best of times, I struggle with simple arithmetic, and so I guess we're just not going to go into it.
Yeah, probably better that we don't just yet. Maybe we can wait until it's a little bit more obvious. Oh, man. Always fun with the playoffs. And, yeah, I mean, DRX, they're going to try to get as many wins as possible and try to claim the highest seed. Maybe hope that Damwon can take an upset loss against T1 later on.
Yep.
Maybe next week, I think. Let me take a look, actually, at exactly when that match is.
I want to talk about the patch a little bit as well, because I think that this patch is a direct buff to DRX. I've always been of the opinion that Deft is one of the best Caitlyn players in the world. He was always extraordinarily good at it back in China. And she'd since fallen out of the meta a little bit, you know? We're in Xayah Kaiserland last year. Before that, it was things like Sivir that were very, very powerful. And she was able to lane into Caitlyn quite comfortably with her Ricochet and, of course, her shield. But let's see exactly what the priority is going to be, because I just don't think that Caitlyn's going to get through. I think she's just a little bit too strong. As Set is going to be banned away first here by SANDBOX. SANDBOX being on the blue side also means that they'll probably snap it up. But we'll see how it's going to go. Set, gone first.
Yeah, it's either you take it away or you ban it for SANDBOX. If not, I think they haven't done their research on Deft.
Yeah.
To be honest, just completely straightforward on that one. And yeah, definitely the patch changes up some of the priority. We still have a lot of the same kind of powerhouse picks here as we're trying to navigate these bans. Set still very strong for all these LCK teams. The Karma going to be taken off the board here. This is where SANDBOX show us if they want to play Caitlyn or not. Looks like they do want to play Caitlyn.
Yep. And DRX probably going to have to ban it away. Interesting that the TF is still banned despite copping a bit of a nerf here on this patch. Takes him a while to get that pick card down to the correct cooldown. But giving it to DRX is tough, right? Because Chovy with added agency is just something that you don't want to have to deal with. As DRX taking a while to think about this. 3 seconds to go. And maybe they have a plan into the Caitlyn. They are going to ban the Sona. So they're expecting more of the Yamato shenanigans with the Sona Lux, and they just get rid of it.
There it is. I mean,
yeah,
it was the most obvious first pick. Like, if you're not going to ban it on blue side, you're going to pick it first against Deft.
I need Deft to pick Jinx into it. That's what I need.
Okay.
I need his 90%
like
win rate Jinx.
Well,
but it's going to be the classic, the Ashe is going to be locked in.
Yeah, and you can wait on the support, or you can highlight the Bard and say, this pick is really strong, I want to have this pick early. It seems like maybe they're not going to go for that.
They're going alphabetically. You got to go alphabetically.
Cool. Yeah, B is next.
We're still on the A's at the moment. See whether we get to B, as Fate thinking about Zoe. But the Bard was left up, and the Bard is where Gorilla is going to go. As Caitlyn Bard. This is look, DRX's bottom lane is very strong. Valdez, we know that. I know how much of a fan of Kerry as you are. This is going to be a very difficult lane for DRX to navigate. But let's see where they go. It's going to be the Morgana.
Yeah.
So just trying to make sure that we can Black Shield that Tempered Fate if they try and catch Deft out of position.
Yeah. Bard was just... He is really strong, but he does have some teamfight counters. Obviously, Morgana can be quite good into that, especially when you're dealing with a relatively immobile AD carry. If it was Ezreal, I think maybe we see something different, of course. Down in the bottom side.
This is also the 19th unique pick for Carrier if
Nice.
he's going to play it. So he was already 3 ahead of Chovy this season. But I think this is, yeah, I think he's almost like got the most unique picks in the world at this stage. 19 is ludicrous. Out of the amount of games that he's played, right? Like, the only champions that he's played more than once is like Rakan, Bard, Nautilus, Braum, and Mew Mew. Otherwise, it's just he's got some one-offs that just go forever. As Kennen going to be taken away, that is going to mean that a Camille ban is almost necessary and is going to be the answer there, so smart stuff. Top laners, we'll see whether we look towards a few more of those.
Renekton.
Yeah, jungle's sort of another place that they could be looking at as, yeah.
I'm just thinking
R4
about...
Renekton, let's go.
R4, R5, B4, B5, let's get it. You know.
Oh, look at this.
Godzilla.
DRX protecting against the B4 and B5 Renekton Nidalee.
Yeah.
Which could have come out there by SANDBOX. I was watching some LEC. It was very cathartic last night.
Yeah,
I'm a bit of a fan of Fnatic just because they are such a storied org. But watching Renekton go 0-7 was just a beautiful experience. As Wukong going to be taken away here by SANDBOX, and now DRX. What are we going to be picking? I'd assume the jungle. As is this going to be another Malrong? Is this going to be another one of the Smitic Knit type choices here by Pioshik?
I think Pioshik's like, yeah, it's not fair. Malrong got to play it 3 games in a row. Now I get to play it, even though he's
We're saving the Graves win rate 1 game at a time.
We're coming back. What are we at? 3-16 right now?
Yep. 2 of those wins happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Good old Malrong. And yeah, I think the response here from On Fleek is pretty obvious. He's not going to go for the Olaf this time around. Says, I'm probably just going to get kited down and not have much to do with anything in this game. And there's the Jace. There have been a lot of top lane champions banned away. A lot of champions that both these players like to play. And so the Jace blind, I think, is a pretty decent idea. It's going to give you some security up in the top side. And it's not like you're blind picking something like a Renekton or a Mordekaiser, or something that can get abused by a counter pick on the red side.
Looks like Aurelia is going to be the choice here for Doran. These are very aggressive compositions. We are sinning to win right now. This is like old school SANDBOX that just loved the sin. There's no Renekton, but Jace is definitely a very decent substitute for that. As Chovy will be on the Azir once they've switched it all around, and squishiness is going to be the aim of the game here. And we'll see how Root's going to be building the Caitlyn. I actually really like the Infinity Edge into Stormrazor.
Yeah.
It's just a whole lot of extra damage. Build a couple of BF swords, and you're a very happy Caitlyn. We saw a few doing the old, you know, double Zeal item after IE, and I don't like it as much personally. As coaches are going to battle one another, Yamato and CVMAX walk off the stage. And here we are for game number 1. DRX versus SANDBOX. This is one of the last chances that SANDBOX have to save their playoff dreams. DRX, they're already in there, but they need to prove to us that the next time they face Damwon, it's not going to be another slaughtering. Because Damwon just looked too damn good. We're going to be able to have a look in on them in our second series of the night. But for now, it's all about whether DRX have sorted themselves out. I like the draft, honestly, into what SANDBOX had put out. I don't think leaving Caitlyn up is ever a really good idea. However, they've got the best possible answer that they can to the Bard in the Morgana. They have a very powerful mid lane that should have priority, and they have Graves with hopefully Smitic Knit.
Well, we'll see what he has coming into this game. I think Pyosik is not going to let us down. Well, he did. He picked up Flash.
Oh, my goodness.
And Pyosik, definitely someone who likes to
this is obviously
reposition and get the plays going. So that does make sense for the type of player that he is.
Yeah, I think this is obviously Graves without the cigar. Because if he had the cigar, that's what he uses to ignite his foes.
Oh, really?
So Malrung definitely had the cigar yesterday. Pyosik, no cigar for him. Just going to be flashing around. You get a bit more maneuverability because you don't have to focus on the fact that you have a thing hanging out of your mouth. As Summit not going to find the shock blast there onto Doran, who's going to sidestep it. Some pings going out, but nothing early and aggressive so far. As Pyosik just checking things out, seeing what's going on. Shock blast was invisible to me. Was that invisible to you too?
That happens sometimes when the terrain, into the jungles especially, but out of the river mostly, is it goes up into the land, you can see. And
oh, right, so it just goes through the land.
Yeah, a lot of the particles get lost. Like, we were seeing Jin yesterday. His Deadly Flourish would just not show.
Yep.
As it's, like, in the ground, and it doesn't scale up. And Shock Blast, I mean, you name it. All the projectiles kind of disappear. So, Riot, if we can get on that, that would be nice.
The topography is topographic. Sorry, the spaghetti is topographically challenged. That's what we're going to say.
Okay. That's one way to put it.
Yeah, I almost nailed it. As Root and Gorilla just going to try and lane this one out and should be pretty happy. But we're putting down a bunch of soil and seeing whether DRX can get the shove. Doran gets a very nice stun and collects that CS at the same time. Love efficiency.
Yeah, the Aurelia is really interesting. How we're seeing it more often now with Closer coming in. I mean, it's not because he came in, obviously, but it's kind of funny that it does line up that way.
She was also, buffed.
Yeah.
On the Patcherino, but you're right. It's poignant. And I do like that it feels like Closer's also been patched in, as he's going to be pretty required to try and save T1. Not going to be playing here today, but I believe we'll be seeing them again soon.
Is Chovy going to take his first loss on Azir? 8-0. Pretty decent. That stun was way off by Doran, actually. And for some reason, he looks like he's the bully here in this lane, as Summit's not really able to get too much value. And now the big pushing coming in.
Yeah, gets booped back by the hammer, but you're right. It's a big minion wave. Doran secures all of the creeps. Of course, the reason why Summit can't go aggressive is because creep damage is a thing. But he's going to be able to pick up most of them underneath this turret. Doran goes for a cheetah recall.
Ooh, what is going on?
Well, Fate's taking a lot of damage. That's what's going on here, as Chovy at max health, and Fate down to 200. But we expected the Azir to have shove. Just a little bit better at killing these minions over and over again with all of his Sand Soldier friends, and he's taken the Electrocute in this lane as well. We've seen this a little bit more from Chovy especially.
Oh boy. It feels like every lane is just getting dominated by the DRX side. Mid lane, Fate's getting poked out here really effectively. On Fleek, I feel like he's scrambling a little bit to try to help out, and the answer's going to be he's going to come in here to try to push the lane with the Redemption and try to get a good back for Fate, who maybe doesn't want to use that teleport but might have to against the Azir. I feel like we have to do LS, actually.
Right. Yeah, Chovy going to be taken down to just under half. Pyosik is here in the area. We'll see whether he hops over the wall as Summit continues to lose trades against the newly buffed Aurelia on Fleek. He's going to find the Q onto Pyosik, puts down the smoke screen, may have to flash and does so, but the bubble will connect the phase rush. Makes this guy so damn fast. He is going to be able to get out of there just fine.
I think it's phase rush Nimbus Cloak too.
Yeah.
So it's like after the flash, he just runs away like he's Zoe or something. That rune is so broken. If we can,
I think it's the ultra.
Switch that up, please.
It's the ultra movement speed sorcery style, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like Set likes to take as well. That Pyosik's gone for here. So yeah, he's running pretty quick.
There's a lot of engaged champions that are big fans of that combo, and Doran, you could see in the top side with the cheetah recall, he didn't actually pull the waves into him, which is something that LS always talks about, because after you push and cheater, it's inevitably going to push into you because of the way the minions are going to interact with the turret. And looks like he's going to go for another little mini cheater as he's just going to run up to the top side. He's saving his teleport to make sure that he keeps the pressure on up in the top side. Not trying to interact with Pyosik and look for ganks, actually. He's trying to put on as much pressure as possible instead and let Pyosik just, you know, free farm the jungle and not have to worry about it.
Well, that's going to be a bubble connecting there onto Chovy, but he shifts the sands. He gets away. Everything's fine. And yeah, that wave just about to crash, but Doran's going to be able to get there and pick it up. No boots just yet, so these cheated recalls are going to get even better when the obvious Ninja Tabi comes in pretty quickly. It's what that cloth armor's looking for. Has a few battle stats, but I like the style that Doran has taken. As you can see, Summit, he's gone back as well. He's got a whole bunch of swords. Just as many swords as possible is generally the aim of the game here.
I don't know how you fit that many swords in your inventory.
And then how do you use them with a hammer that turns into a gun? I don't understand. Does he shoot swords?
It's
is
magical.
It ammo?
It's magical.
Interesting.
It makes his bullets, it augments his bullets to make them sharp, actually. From the gun.
Of course.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
I like it. Well, Defton Carrier, like, they shouldn't be winning this lane this hard, I don't think, in my personal opinion, as Chovy might need to press E to get out of the way of this one, but not going to, as OnFleek. He's going to turn around.
Yeah. OnFleek's just being really annoying, you know? He's not getting any effective kills or summoners out of the laners, but he's just non-stop being a thorn in the side for Chovy. And honestly, I don't think that Chovy really cares, you know?
No, he seems to be doing just fine as Pyosik is going to get that magical journey out of Gorilla. OnFleek lands the Q, but doesn't want to go aggressive onto the Graves. As we are fighting over this dragon that just doesn't know who to breathe fire on at this point in time. The Ignite goes down onto Pyosik, but he's going to keep himself alive with the Smite. Also kills the Lee Sin with his collateral damage, and Swag walks his way out. Def now looking for root here. The arrow on cooldown. And, oh dear. Binding's great from Gorilla, however. As yeah, we've got 1-for-1s. As I believe Doran tried to dive, gets the flash out of Summit, and has his teleport. So 100% a win there for the Aurelia, even though they went 1-for-1.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of to talk about in that top side, but Carry is just smurfing down here in the bottom lane. He nearly killed Gorilla. That's the Carry I like to watch, as he's on his 19th unique pick, just casually owning the lane.
Yeah, puddle danger over here. As he's got an amp tome. That's why it looked like it did so much damage. As we're going to have a look at this one once again. There's OnFleek standing in the back of the pit, wondering whether he needs to get out or whether he wants to go for the Smite fight. But Def nails the arrow. And Pyosik accidentally kills the Lee Sin, securing the Drake.
Yeah, I think he also smited early, but here's this breakdown. You can see Doran just non-stop pushing. And he's going to go for the stun into ultimate, gets the flash out, and it's just a big skirmish that Aurelia is going to win. That cannon is going to be annoying, but I believe that at the end of the day, because Summit didn't have teleport.
Shock Blast avoided, but that's a big minion wave. Now Summit trying to get past here. Gorilla's going to turn up, has to flash. That's the advantage that Doran had, and that's why he's able to go aggressive. Now, not going to be as safe.
Yeah, lots of action up there on the top side as Gorilla's trying to be, you know, Carrier / Barrel. A couple of supports that love to roam, especially Barrel, in that term, as Doran just non-stop pushing here. He's going to see with this ward that is very tricky, actually. It's right outside of the range of that control ward in the brush. As here comes DRX now looking for a fight.
Yep, Chovy going to move on over as Fate. Just trying to be bodyguard. Teleport in from the Aurelia is now Chovy going aggressive onto Fate. Doesn't find the Emperor's Divide. It's now Doran with a black shield. Going aggressive onto the Bud. Oh, the binding was beautiful. Fate finds the decent paddle start there onto Pyosik, but he should have the quick draw to get himself out of the way. Chovy going to eat that bubble. As now Pyosik going to get kicked back, and SANDBOX just going to go for a disengage. Not even sure who managed to pick up Shelly there, as that's a decent stun onto Summit to stop any aggression onto Doran, and it was OnFleek that secured Shelly.
Yeah, he had to flash to get in and get out. As you can see, that was the obvious play by SANDBOX. As, okay, we're just trading summoners for ults here, no big deal. Down in the bottom side as Deft is casually 30 CS ahead. You know, just another thing that we have to mention.
Feeling a little bit like obliteration here as Summit does find some accelerated shots there on Doran. A couple of plates here taken down by DRX, and they've moved to almost a 3,000 gold lead somehow at 10 minutes into the game. This lane kingdom that they have going on is just immense.
Yeah. The Vampiric Scepter is only going to delay this build even more. I mean, this Caitlyn is going to take years to come online.
Yeah.
Take a look at Deft, who's just casually going to be getting so much value on this Ashe.
He also has almost Essence Reaver completed.
Yeah.
He's going for, like, the I'm going to throw as many arrows at you as possible build.
He got another plate, too.
Oh, my God.
Guy's rich. He's more rich than rich. It's in our league.
Yeah, Rich wasn't very rich.
Yeah, quite poor, unfortunately.
Deft may have taken his title as well. As I remember, Essence Reaper, I mean, that means that you can endlessly volley in lane as well. If this laning phase is going to continue, and it gets even rougher. Oh, dear. Well, goes back. We'll see whether the Essence Reaper is now going to be completed. And it is. So there we go. Deft with a lot of TDR. And no more mana issues, really.
Yeah. And Bard, I feel like, as a champion... Oh, we got another trade here. Not going to go in on this one, even though he did have a lot of minions and he's up a level. No flash. Didn't want to take the chance, as there's more and more items coming in here for the Jace. But the Bard, I feel like, definitely feels a bit better when you're ahead, and you can make aggressive plays. But even from ahead, he's going up against the Morgana, so it's not going to be the easiest Bard game here for Gorilla. You can see he was trying to get active, move around the map, try to go up to the top side for the Rift Herald play, maybe look for a gank, but in the lane, he's just not really going to have a great time, and this is why Keria and Deft are just getting so far ahead, and are looking for the entire turret now.
That might actually just go down here, as there's the hammerback onto Doran, getting underneath the turret here. Good empowered shock blast. So very close to having either a Ghost Blade or a Dust Blade completed.
No flash here.
And on fleek, yeah, Vanguard's Edge is going to land. It's a decent Q, but it's not good. Sorry, W, but it's not going to be enough. Secured by on fleek as Purshik's going to turn up. End of the line comes in, aptly named. Collateral damage goes entirely wide. Now Purshik's trying to slow Summit down, but he doesn't have a red buff, doesn't have too many options. Quick drawing after. There's the flash follow, and one more auto attack will do it. Minion wave not quite there in time to save Summit, and it will be a 1-for-1 in the end.
Yeah, Purshik at least able to trade back the kill that did go down onto Doran, so there is that. Meanwhile, we're actually going to get a lot of value here in the mid lane for the Zoe, as on fleek getting zoned out here by Keria.
Okay. That was a Soul Shackles, as Black Shield comes in. That's going to eat the bubble. Fate sidestepping the Dark Binding, and Deft took down the turret. So Deft is like just gigantic at this point in time.
Yeah. He's got the same farm as Chovy, but Chovy doesn't have 5 turret plates. So,
yeah, exactly. And solo first brick.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he is so strong. And this is also going to be an even bigger power spike for the Ashe when it comes to the amount of damage you can do in a short period of time. You know, if you've got the Runaan's Hurricane and the Blade of the Ruin King, then yes, you do a lot of team fight damage, you do a lot of AoE, and you do have a lot of sustain. But if you go like something like IE Essence Reaver, you just do a lot of damage real fast. Excited to see how that one's going to go. Of course, with having the Frost Shot or your Q having the auto reset, as Doran's going to jump back onto Summit there, but they know that there's a few too many people. Not going to be able to find the bubble damage, but
what?
Tattlestar's big on Keria there.
That was a large Tattlestar. Had a big head, that one. Somehow was able to connect onto Keria, even though it looked like it was a big hitbox. And the Black Shield is just going to be so crazy up against this team. You're not going to be able to get kicked, knocked back. You're not going to get stunned by the Bard. Tempered Fate, obviously, we mentioned that before. Take a look at this dodge, actually. Goes around the ultimate.
맞았긴 했거든.
Doesn't take any damage from that.
빼야 돼, 우리. 나 죽었다.
I'm dead.
잠깐만, 얘가 이상하긴 하긴 했거든.
Looks like
야, 그냥 미드 친 것도 나쁘지 않아 보여.
Let's use the Rift Herald mid. So on fleek, very present, I would say. He's like, as the situation changes, always reacting to it. Summit, unfortunately, gets flashed on there, not able to survive for the trade back kill.
Yep, means that flash advantage exists for Doran there on the top side. See what he's going to build into here. Looks like Blade of the Ruin King first for the Aurelia, but we saw a Trinity Force-less Aurelia yesterday. We'll see whether that continues here today. Doran's looking to go down a similar route. Yoshik moving on over, wants to be able to steal this guy away, and is going to easily do so. He has Smite. Fate does not, as Arrow... Oh, hitbox! Ladies and gentlemen, is certainly a thing, as that is a very dead Zoe. After securing that one with volley. Now 4-2 is the kill score for DRX, close to moving towards a 5,000 gold lead, actually. SANDBOX moving to the mid lane, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to lock this one down. Tempered Fate avoided by everyone. Collateral damage, actually, by Pyoshik. Gets a bit of damage, also moves him out of the way. And DRX, no worries there. 2.5 minutes on this Mountain Drake. That will be sole point for DRX, as they've been casually picking up as many of the dragons as they want. And out of turret top lane falls down to confirm close to that 5,000 gold lead.
Yeah. If Gorilla's going to be playing the Bard, he's got to be hitting these Tempered Fates onto a couple of guys that are not looking to flash. As Bard, Caitlyn is actually quite strong. You can get the really nice trap follow-up, and they had Lee Sin Jace with them as well. So you would imagine the amount of burst damage onto Deft could have been extraordinary if they could hold him in place with the traps. But, you know, with no Black Shield, with nothing used, you got to be able to hit those Tempered Fates. Otherwise, you know, maybe go for something a little bit more comfortable like the Nautilus. Yeah. Which we might see in game number 2. But,
or the Tom Kench.
Yeah.
This is Gorilla's way.
Those are the two.
Yep.
The two that he plays very effectively nowadays here in the LCK.
It's a bit sad seeing a double range matchup involving Caitlyn lose, though. It just feels like a thing that shouldn't happen. We're going to have a look at this kill. The arrow somehow connects.
여기 잡아.
Get him. Got him. Good.
예.
All right.
그거 여기. 야, 이씨구. 아, 죽었다.
I'm dead.
죽은 거 같아.
I think I'm dead.
근데 그냥
I assume he said hitbox.
Maybe. Meanwhile, that hitbox on the accelerated shock blast, for some reason,
I mean, at
wasn't
least
big enough to land.
At least the accelerated shock blast is like a gigantic orb. That should be landing, so if that one does connect, then we're going to be completely okay with it. The arrow, a little bit different, but maybe
it missed. Skin. That's why I was like, what?
Oh, right, yeah.
Even though it was like right next to Caria. Yeah. Well, they're going to try to fight here over the Mountain Drake. And, yeah, you really don't want to be giving Mountain Drakes over to the side of DRX here. And they already have a bunch. But you're down 5,000 gold. It's not going to feel too good, but they do feel forced into fighting before they get too much value. And they do have a nice amount of poke. It's something that we do have to remember as Bing goes on fleek.
Out he goes again, as he doesn't really want to stay. Proud recall there from Shirley, swirling around the graves. He's going to get home. Carrier, very, very low. SANDBOX going to reclaim some control. They do have a lot of poke. Even Caitlyn with a lot of poke options. DRX moving in, try and find some form of engage. Doran over to the side, Pyoshik. He's going to turn up pretty soon as well.
It's crazy how Pyoshik with the empowered recall is actually using it to such a great effective advantage here. Because SANDBOX took so long to come in because of this, that here comes the fight.
Yeah, collateral damage does a hell of a lot as Fate. He's going to have to go home, gets the same treatment that he gave to Carrier, to be honest. And so now DRX is going to pull out the Dragon, and it looks like SANDBOX are going to give this one away. The pressure is just so damn high coming out of DRX. However, SANDBOX have been able to close the gap just a little when it comes to gold. Being able to eat through a few more of these minion waves is the top wave, not one that they're able to eat through. Checking out the gold, it is Summit that's ahead of Doran by just a little bit when it comes to the SANDBOX players, but otherwise it's all about DRX. This Ashe, especially.
2,000 gold ahead. It's not pretty massive. It's about half an item, more than half an item. And yeah, he's already on 2 items here as well, compared to the 1 and Vampiric Scepter from the Caitlyn. And this is the, of course, the power trough that everybody loves to talk about with the Caitlyn. She's going to need a lot more time to pick up a couple more items before she's really oppressive. And this is a moment where 2-item Ashe and the amount of pick and engage that DRX have, not to mention the insane burst damage they have. From, you would imagine, obviously, Graves, Azir, Aurelia, but even Morgana is going to help with that, She's going support, but, I mean, she's got some upfront decent damage with the binding, and if you catch one person, they're probably dead on the side as, wow, that was a sick steal.
His collateral damages have been pretty damn good this game. As Def's going to move up, and we're going to deny Shirley, because you can as Bard. But that binding is going to connect onto OnFleek, takes a lot of damage as Def trying to throw through these volleys. Koshik over the wall, and Shirley's still in here, getting some work done. Root and Gorilla taking some damage still, but otherwise, not the end of the world. Hawk shots fly down. DRX with all the information, but they still walk into that one. Ardent Sensor completed. I think that might have something to do with why Deft has gone for this particular item build, as the Vanguard's Edge goes entirely wide. They're still able to lock down the turret just fine.
Yeah, that was confusing up against the Lee Sin that he's got a safeguard up. Probably don't want to just randomly throw out your abilities and your flash to try to lock down a Lee Sin. As OnFleek just skirts away. Dorian getting a little bit excited, perhaps, wants to show off the Aurelia and say, well, yeah, it's viable. Well, didn't actually help out with that play.
Not quite. Looks like Dorian might be building towards Black Cleaver on the Aurelia. Interesting, especially with how good Trinity Force is. I'd have to have a chat to LS about this one. Wanting to buff Koshik and Def damage, I guess. You certainly can get a decent amount of stacks pretty early if you land Vanguard's Edge and your stun on a couple of people. But Arrow's going to connect. Root once again going to trade his cleanse for it. We're going to be moving on back. Def and Carry have just absolutely dominated this game so far.
Yeah, there's really no contest. I mean, they're one of the best bottom lanes right now in the LCK, if not the best. I mean, they're definitely up there. And going up against Root and Gorilla, unfortunately, who are a little bit unmatched. And I love how Deft is just constantly throwing out his...
Oh, dear.
That's a little bit of a sweet for Rooney.
Yeah, Chovy's not had his best day so far.
Still going to get a 9th win, though, most likely.
Yeah.
On his Azir.
I think that's the 3rd one that he's missed when it comes to the scoops. Summit didn't even have to flash.
I want to point out something. If you look at the Enchanted Crystal Arrow cooldown, it's about to come off cooldown. And then you take a look at the cleanse on Root.
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's about maybe 1/3. We're getting close to that, whereas the Arrow is now off cooldown. So, especially as the game comes along and people start to pick up stuff like cleanses and Mikhails and all this stuff that makes it very annoying for Ashe, you want to just be throwing it out as much as possible, looking to take trades.
And that's why Essence Reaver's so good, right?
Yeah, another good reason. Makes that Ashe just very present and annoying for the enemy team in the game, as SANDBOX might just make their final stand at this Mountain Drake.
Well, there's the Tempered Fate. Chovy avoids it, and then shifts some sands to get out of the way. A magical journey, though, here for SANDBOX.
Okay, well...
As Chovy just walks casually out of the way. That's how you deal with it. Hawk shot to spot exactly where they're going, and oh no. In goes Carrier, looks for the ulti. Doesn't really connect too much, though, as Dorian gets into the backline. Koshik gonna clean up the Bard so quickly, and unfortunately, SANDBOX couldn't find their way out. The Dark Binding barely avoided by Summit, who is gonna take a volley to the face, but otherwise will escape, but not with enough, as DRX should be able to get Mountain Soul off the back of this one.
You'd see Summit and OnFleek, they're waiting. Maybe someone's going to face check. Perhaps. They have a lot of burst damage themselves, but DRX are going to play it safe. And standard OnFleek may look for a steal here. Although Dorian is on vision, notices that. He's going to go away now. As there you go, Mountain Soul will be given over to DRX. And, I mean, SANDBOX is pretty unfortunate. I mean, they're not, they're trying to make these final stands, but 2 times in a row now, it's like the first time they just got immediately poked out. And then the second time, Root is just alone in mid lane. Like, you can't be alone there. I understand you're trying to push back the wave, but with the amount of pick, like, you can't stand here. Yeah, I don't, like, there's nothing else to say. You can't be there. The rest of your team is in the enemy jungle, right? Like, that's not, you know, that's just a big mistake from Root, unfortunately. I think even with Root, they probably still would have lost the fight, unfortunately, as DRX are massively ahead, as is highlighted by this fight.
It's also exactly what this DRX squad was trying to do, right? That's why, like, Def just throws an arrow at Root's face, gets the cleanse, and says, well, give me a few seconds, we'll come back, we'll do that again.
Yeah.
And you're not going to have cleanse. Like
Still not on cooldown.
Yeah.
Still on cooldown right now.
It's coming up very, very shortly, but Deft will also have another arrow for him that I assure you will be thrown in his direction. Mikhail's is now completed by Gorilla, but that means that, you know, this Bard isn't going to be able to do too much else other than cleanse the rest of his teammates, and he will probably just die basically instantly. Fate with his Banshee is going to come in there looking to try and kill Carrier, but he had a stopwatch already complete, and now Pyosik is looking for the Zoe. Kick back there to buy some space against Chovy, but Pyosik's going to get exhausted. The rest of SANDBOX once again getting surrounded by DRX. Shock Blast does a bit to the Graves, but not enough grit. He's feeling pretty good.
225 armor when he's got it stacked. He's feeling great.
God. Another arrow going to connect, and there's the Mikhail's on cooldown. Let's see whether Deft is going to have 2 arrows now that can get rid of that one as Pyosik moves on over. And on Fleek, no, you don't have a jungle. That belongs to this Graves, whose win rate is skyrocketing exponentially.
Wow.
Potentially. I mean, it's DRX haven't won just yet. You don't want to count your chickens.
Well, after
However,
this win,
yeah,
it's going to be 4-16 on the win rate for Graves. So we're at 20% after this one, if of course they can pick up the win. So yeah, we're climbing.
We are getting there. You know, it's a long way back. We've only got, you know, a couple of weeks to go. But we'll see whether Graves can do it alongside some of our players here. Infinity Edge done for Deft. He is extraordinarily strong.
Yeah.
His crit rate through the roof. He's built only damage. He's got an Ardent Sensor there from Carrier to help him out. And you give Deft a Black Shield, and he'll just destroy all of SANDBOX. It's just how it's going to go.
Yeah, it's very true. And at this point, if you're a SANDBOX fan and you're wondering, well, is there any chance? Zoe, from pretty far behind, also building defensively with her items, is not really going to find... I mean, she has no penetration either, up against Mountain Drakes and Mountain Soul. Okay, she's not doing anything. Jace and Lee Sin, they're mid-game power spikes. They're kind of, you know, they're not doing much either. They're going to rely on Root, who, again, he's not having the greatest game, but they can't really rely on one player when they're going up against so much scaling on the side of DRX, like literally everybody.
Oh no, he walked back into it. The cleanse is pretty late, as Gorilla didn't have his Mikhail's back off cooldown yet. And now DRX, they're looking to continue sieging forward. No CC cleanse at all. Is Tempered Fate going to be flashed by Deft? On Fleet gets the kickback though, and that's a very dead Ash. Beautifully set up there from SANDBOX. Carrier denies the Jace engage with a Dark Binding, but this is going to buy SANDBOX some much-needed time.
Yeah, the 80 carries today, somehow they're finding their way into some very precarious situations, even Deft. And you can see DRX, they were just very split off, and SANDBOX with a great call there, just coming together and saying, hey, we can probably pick off this guy. Even though it can feel like all doom and gloom for them with how behind they are. It's definitely a nice pick for them to
cheeky ward.
Grab that one. But yeah, they're still going up against a massive amount of scaling, and it is going to be difficult. So let's see if they can get, you know, 5 or 6 more picks like that and maybe roll it into something.
5 or 6. Well, we'll see. Certainly going to be a tough one, as Deft was very close to not having to flash that, which would have saved him. But he decided to better be safe than sorry.
여기 각인 것 같은데 지금?
Let's have a look
야,
at
각 보자, 각 보자, 각 보자.
Let's go, let's go.
더 되냐, 더 되냐? 안 되면 그냥 사이드 관리 하는 게 맞는데 우리 이거 가지고 딱히 더 할 거 없어 보여.
He's like, can we do anything off of this? Doesn't look like we can do much. Let's just let's fix the side lanes, push out the side lanes, and go from there. So on Fleek, trying to lead his team.
I like it. You know, it's what they need to do. Try and get lanes in order, try and get as much money as they can. On Fleek, not going to find the Q there onto Chovy. We're still waiting to wake up just a little bit. As Pyosik moves on in, 30 seconds on the Elder Drake. And okay, going to be discovered for the minute. And there's the flash kick. Pyosik trying to quick draw his way out. He's very fast. Oh my god, and the damage that he does as well is ludicrous. Chovy goes in. Emperor's Divide again, going to be a little bit worrisome as he goes golden and will be wiped out. Pyosik is still trying to deal with the enemy jungler and will take him down. So a 1-for-1 in the end. Carrier in trouble though off to the side. Black Shield is going to be put together. There's the flash over the wall by Fate. He picks up another one, but this is a fight on multiple fronts, and DRX are certainly winning the one over here. The volley comes in, slows down somebody's trying to run away with his phase rush, and I believe he'll be able to. Oh my god, just being ran around. DRX.
You see how fast he was with the gate and phase rush and Nimbus Cloak? Oh man. And Youmu's, it's like, oh, it's sanity how fast that Jace can get. Oh man.
Pretty silly.
Yeah. Well,
I think that DRX should be able to do this based on the players that they have left. It was a 2-for-2 in the end. But as far as killing an Elder Drake, this is certainly going to be in DRX's favor, and they do take it down. Summit going to avoid the slow as collateral damage is going to buy some space there for Pyosik. Still have some large health bars on SANDBOX's side, but it looks like they're just not willing to get in. Slightly embarrassing, but that's fine. He calculated it and then walked past.
Yeah.
Said, you take the damage and go back, you know.
This is a really fed Graves at this point. Imagine getting clawed out into 5 members. Well, it's mostly 4, as Caitlyn wasn't there. Maybe if Caitlyn was available to put down a trap and, you know, actually do some damage, it could have worked out. Chovy gets caught here, looks a little bit silly, and goes down, and it immediately turns into a 4v4. And these fights don't have to be this way. If DRX were fighting straight up, it would be a lot cleaner. But because it's like all over the place, they eventually are able to group up and fight 3v3, which is where DRX will be, of course, very strong. Fate busy killing Carrier, who does a good job, as that's a very fast car that Jace is driving.
나 맞아줄게.
Oh. Oh.
That's all I'm saying.
Perfect response. That's exactly what we wanted. As DRX are now going to start off the Baron.
Yeah, it's
and,
theirs.
that's going to be taken. That's going to get them over the 10,000 gold lead mark. There's a cool hat onto Chovy. We'll see whether that came with the ability to land a few more ultimates or not. Storm Razor finally completed by Root. Does have the 3 items that make Caitlyn very strong. Unfortunately, Ashe has 4, and she's just a bit more useful in this game. Also, as somehow that Dark Binding landed, no idea how. Chovy gets over the wall. Summit does still a fair bit of damage, but it's about trying to deal with death, to be perfectly honest with you. And it's getting tough. Sun Disc available. High value there on the input. Accelerated Shock Blast. Wow. How did that happen?
Yeah, ace in the hole. Nobody wanted to block for him. Death is like, I'm the VIP of this team. Like, I'm not going to block for it.
There were like 3 members with full health.
Yeah.
As Pyosik is going to do that in an AoE by the looks of things. Carrier is going to go golden with the help of the Tempered Fate. And he's not too worried about it whatsoever. There's a lot of traps here. But DRX looks like they don't care because they're just trying to protect this one siege minion. Now they'll move in, take down this inhibitor turret. The rest of SANDBOX need to be really careful as they're trying to defend this top one. Inhibitor taken. And now, not too many options for SANDBOX. Didn't want to engage. And the rest of DRX was so free to rotate over. And bottom lane, I mean, that's shoving in as well as the arrow just comes out casually. As
like trolling.
I don't know, sometimes you got to do a fadeaway ultimate to say, I got my eye on you.
Yeah.
Eye on you, buddy. All right.
He certainly does. I feel like he's just kind of throwing them out on cooldown. Or off cooldown. I mean, it has such a low cooldown, that ability. It's like insane. As our observer is highlighting.
35 seconds.
Yeah, I guess total it's about 60 seconds. As the halfway part there is exactly 30.
Yep, QSS done now for death, so no more kick flashes to worry about. Just QSS flash out of the way. And we got a Shirelia's done for Carrier. He's just going to make everyone run real fast. As if they weren't running fast enough. With the phase rush being completed by Pyosik. Already seeing how quickly he goes.
Yeah. Shirelli is an interesting item. We're seeing a lot more of it nowadays. And generally it's like built on both supports, but I feel like it has a lot of value here when you're ahead and you're trying to force fights and get everybody, you know, moving forward when you don't actually have that much hard engage.
The jungler chasing up the top laner here, happy to go 1 versus 2 by the looks. As SANDBOX are just running away from one dude in a trench coat.
Scary guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Mafia agrees.
I may do the same as Arrow is going to be following Chovy, but it's not going to connect. Chovy was looking for a bit of a scoop, but they're just so far ahead. Yoshik trying to get forward. Remember, no one's really tanky on the side of DRX as Vanguard's Edge comes in. Tempered Fate avoided by everyone. Deft having that black shield makes him very powerful. Fate trying to poke them back, but you can see 2 inhibitors now taken down. Chovy hunting for another ulti. Doesn't pull the trigger. Doesn't really have to.
Yeah.
As Fate gets chunked for so much of his health bar just from one auto attack from Deft's rapid fire cannon. And now DRX continue to push forward. SANDBOX do get to go back to the fountain, get their health back. And that's going to force DRX out. The sustain advantage going to be enough to deter them. There's actually a fair bit of vision here on this bottom side for SANDBOX as DRX just haven't really been bothered clearing it out. As there's another kick flash and Pyoshik just off in the wrong direction. Arrow is going to pierce the heavens, but Summit gets the McHales from Gorilla. Will be able to take down the Graves. It's a fair bit of overextension coming out of DRX in this game, but sometimes you just got to have some fun.
Yeah, and On Fleek is there every single time. I mean, they got to be careful about just giving free kills over to the side of SANDBOX. Now, they're really far behind, but they still have a Caitlyn that is going to be a monster in the late game, and we'll have to wait and see. I mean, we've seen crazier things happen before. Like, you just shouldn't be here, you know? Like, what's the point? You don't know where the enemy team is. They could all be there.
I mean, I think he did know that the enemy team was there because they had to walk past all of the minions.
Yeah, it's even worse.
Oh, man.
And now, all of a sudden, SANDBOX, after picking off the jungler, who's still dead for 12 seconds, they're going to try to rush down the Elder. This is why you try to not make mistakes like this.
There's a whole bunch of traps here lining the area as DRX, they're still going to have to try and contest this if they can. Doran going to mitigate a bit of damage, and with the 4 members of DRX that are here, they're going to eat the Tempered Fate for the minute. Yep, that is going to be the Elder Drake secured by SANDBOX. And a successful disengage as well. Actually was thinking that SANDBOX might want to fight there with their newly acquired buff, but they decide to play it safe by the water and go and defend their base. Because with 2 waves of super minions, these Nexus turrets are going to not last very long.
Yeah, and it just buys more and more time for the side of SANDBOX, right? It wasn't looking very good, but you get a kill, you get an Elder Drake, and most importantly, you deny it away from DRX, who could have pushed with Elder and Baron eventually and probably into the game, but you take one of those objectives away, you come back, you buy yourself a good 3-4 minutes, and who knows what's going to happen. As you see Root able to pick up the Bloodthirster now on 4 completed big items, and he's going to start hitting like a truck, so you got to be careful. A cute hat here, completed for the Zoe.
Yeah, she's a Void Staff away from doing relevant damage this game. Also, I think as soon as there's a Mortal Reminder, Root needs to be 100% respected in this game. He's going to be doing so much work. And even then, I mean, there's not that much armor. It's just Doran, really, that's going to be in his face, so he does need to try and find something to do against him. Because now it's the wraparound, but Deft is here.
They have Bard.
Yeah, SANDBOX is looking for it, but Deft is holding onto his arrow. Doran eats the Tempered Fate, and there we go. Gorilla taking a lot of damage here from Deft, who is ganking on the Ashe. Immediately, McHales comes out, and Summit is just going to be dead. The Hunter became the hunted in SANDBOX at that particular moment. Chovy grabs the kill. The arrow, once again, majestically sails westward, and is just going to be encircling Runeterra from now until infinity.
Yeah, another arrow lost here.
Into the ether, indeed.
Yeah, that's a teleport. They want to go for the Baron here. Should be DRX's. I think it probably would have been DRX's even so. You know, maybe SANDBOX could have tried to put up a fight here, but their base could have been in shambles if they let that go. So, either way, I mean, yeah, it's a good pick onto Summit for sure, and a good play by DRX, but now the GA is down on the side of Doran, as Chovy just casually going to take a turret. Nobody was there to defend, so yep, thank you very much, he says.
Split pushing Azir, one of the highest Baron damage champions in the game, decides that he doesn't want to be there. As, yeah, Deft lying in wait. And this was all planned. I love it out of DRX.
He's really fast, too. Deft, not a very talkative player.
No.
In general, so he says, yeah, let's try to set it up, and everything else is just, you know, they understand what they have to do from there.
Exactly. He said, we should do this, and then they did it. No more to say. Certainly feels like a CBMAX team type idea. As Griffin used to be that hive mind. DRX, not the same thing. As we've got 6 items for Chovy, he goes back and just builds an item. Because, of course, not going to have too many more opportunities to do that. He's going to get sleepy. But not too much more is going to happen as DRX are just moving down this mid lane to try and eradicate the map of as many inhibitors as possible. Okay, Chovy going to eat that one. Move back onto Pyoshik is golden again. Goes Chovy. I was like, wow, that Tempered Fate lasted a long time, but Zondius is going to come in as well. Vanguard's Edge connects onto so many. The Zoe just eradicated, and Doran into the backline, resetting all over the place, and instantly, that's an ace, and that'll be the game.
Yeah, Doran puts an end to that one. They were a little bit too far away from the turret, and down it goes. GG.
That felt a little bit like, oh, like, are you guys okay with me winning the game now? And Doran got the okay, and then it was done.
Yeah.
I felt like this really started in the laning phase well and truly on the bottom side of the map for DRX, though. Like, you looked at the compositions, you thought that they're, you know, it's Sinner versus Sinner, right? You'd expect that it would be a little bit more even in the early game, but Caitlyn gets put in the dumpster that bad in the early game.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's difficult to go up against Deft and Keria, as we saw. And coming into the room here, you can see that CBMAX, he's not angry, but he doesn't look super happy. Everybody's kind of pensive after that win, and it's something that you mentioned in the beginning of the broadcast. We always have to try to judge the really top teams up against some of the weaker teams by how well they win.
Yeah.
Like, taking the 2-0 is almost guaranteed when we come into these days. It looks real bad when you even drop a set, okay? But it takes 41 minutes to end this game. They were so far ahead even at 25, 30 minutes. And they just took their sweet time. Pyoshik got caught a couple of times. It wasn't the cleanest win, to be honest, although, you know, for the first 30 minutes it was domination. It could have been cleaner. They could have done better. And we should expect a little bit more from DRX. Again, it was a stomp, don't get me wrong. But, you know, if Daman was in this situation, how quickly would they have won the game?
We'd
Probably
be already
26 minutes,
yeah,
right?
we'd be already in game 2 at this point in time is basically how that one goes. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't clean. They lost an Elder Drake when they had an 11,000 gold lead. That's pretty unacceptable, and we'll see whether DRX are going to be able to tidy up their play as we move into a game number 2, or whether SANDBOX can fight back and keep their playoff dreams alive. We'll see you after the break.